Hello, 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 hello. Welcome to the space between ideas. It's me and my dog, the couch, the mountain view, and a software project. All right, let me just show you the entire screen. This is the entire screen. Is it really the entire screen? Yeah, it is. Look. All right, so gotta check the audio. Hello, testing, testing. Can you hear the audio? What? The audio good. It's weird. Okay, let's turn this down. All right, so like it says task F1.1 backend implement sprint 4. What's this based on? In fact, I don't really know. I will guess that it's well. Let's look at first. We're gonna need to look at the cursor win prompt master prompt. So I just asked. I said, "Is everything up and running?" Yes, based on the checks formed earlier, everything in your development environment for the guidance MVP project should be up and running. Docker, Supabase, local Supabase stack, Supabase. There's 3 Supabase. Next.js front end application. It's running over here on 3000. So the SQL insert statements for the status definition table have also been generated as requested. I also asked, okay, I can help you check if your development services are guidance projects are up and running. We got 3001. It's over here. What is this? Ooh, I never noticed that before. All right, so look at this. Now, what if I delete all this? What happens if I delete all this? F1.1. Okay, so I'm not sure what that means. It's an API. Okay, our Supabase is up and running. Our Node.js is up and running. Our Docker is running. I don't know what this one is. It hasn't ran for a while. Well, here's Replete. Replete mostly has all this stuff internally, so it's kind of a different system. I haven't pushed to GitHub for a really long time, but fine, I don't really care right now. All right, that means we ran the master prompts. Now, if we go into the calibration, yesterday we talked about standard end of session protocol. Basically, you copy and paste. When you think that your Google Gemini is either like dying or getting close to dying, then you just upload this thing and then it will initialize the standard end of session protocol. Yeah. But we don't have to do that because we recently. All right, so the very first, as you can see, the very first prompt, after you initialize this, the very first prompt, well, you go through a process, and then the end of the process, then the old liaison is going to make the new prompt for the new liaison, right? So it says, and then it gives you this text. Our current project status is as follows. The current sprint is 4.1. Scoreboard and immediate next task is this. Yeah, so it explains exactly what the next task is. Now, my question is, where do we actually find sprint for F1? Also, here's liaison. I made a new architect. Basically, it's the same thing. Sprint 4. We're in task F1.1. What's your guess? Where are we going to find that information? So we got the project blueprint. We got the team operations manual. We got key decisions. We got active sprint operations. All right. So I'm guessing if we go to the project blueprint, then okay, we got core MVP, got advanced AI features, we got go-to-market strategy. Wow. In fact, we're only on project number 1. And we still have more projects to do. That's crazy. That explains my whole project. We got a problem. It doesn't actually have the... So it references the images, but it doesn't... I didn't upload the images. Talks about the loop. It's got the questions. Data and API definition. Recorded date. Oh, these are the decisions. It's about the database. All right, this is just the project. So we actually don't have anything about sprints in here, which actually surprises me a little bit. It's only the project. Preparing successor AI. Sprint process and MVP roadmap derived from sprint process definition and MVP robot version 2 overview sprint approach. High level MVP. 8 sprints. Okay, here they are. The sprints 1, sprint 2, sprint all the way up to 8. So right now we're in the sprint 4. All right. We got a lot of business here. Great. Now, if we jump into our active sprint, F and G. Here we are. So we're in F1.1. Wow. How does it know all this stuff? Well, anyways, I guess it knows what to do. So I'm just rely on it to do it. And how do we do that? We jump into our current AI guy. We copy. And we paste. This is what I'm thinking about right now. You know, the thing is, like, being a teacher and teaching thinking frameworks, it means I'm constantly refreshing my brain about thinking frameworks. Like, if you think about this documentation, these are thinking frameworks. And basically, I spent all my time, I use thinking frameworks to create this documentation. It all goes back down to this whole concept right here. I'm building an app to do this, but it's actually this app that helped me to build the app. And there's other thinking frameworks that I use. This one here. The idea is that you want to achieve results. I think one of the issues that sometimes people have is they don't really know the result that they want to achieve. I'll give you a hot topic, some hot topics. So in about 40 minutes from now, I got a meeting with this Russian guy. We've been talking about the balance of power between Iran and Israel. And, you know, he's talking about the fear of Iran acquiring a nuclear weapon. And then, you know, you jump on social media, which is a great place for accessing ideas. And suddenly you see this image of Benjamin Netanyahu from like 10 years ago or 20 years ago even. And he's saying, Iran is on the cusp of acquiring a nuclear weapon. And it's like, what the? So they've been saying the same thing for 20 years? And then you go into climate change. And you see this like video from like 50 years ago. The world will not be here in 1990. It's like, wasn't 1990 like 30 years ago? So, like, if you've been warning about climate change, you warned about it for 30 years and it didn't happen. And that was 30 years ago. And then it's been 30 more years. Still didn't happen. So what you realize is these are not facts. These are policies. So if they're policies, it means that they usually have a policy because you want to achieve some kind of end. For example, the reason why you would want to say that Iran is on the edge of acquiring nuclear weapons is because ... But remember, it was like 2 months ago, 3 months ago, there was another dude from America. What was that guy's name? He was like, Iran is 2 weeks away from acquiring a nuclear weapon. It's like, what? Hasn't it been like 3 months since then? So I don't know. So anyways, we were talking about this thing about like that. Remember when they Iran they elected some new president. Elected. I don't know the word elected. Maybe it's elected. And then Israel's like, hey, I got a good idea. Let's go shoot some missiles into the capital city during the inauguration of their new president at some head leaders of Hamas. What? I mean, there's a lot of assumptions here. So, because the basic idea is that the incident in October 7th is the pretext for why Israel it's been okay for them to conduct their operations, special military operations in Gaza Strip. So, but that's Gaza Strip. And then, no, they're like, no, not only are we going to attack Hamas on the Gaza Strip, we're actually going to invade Iran. So it creates the assumption that actually Hamas and Iran are one. And then it means Israel can directly attack Iran on Iranian soil during their presidential inauguration and assassinate Hamas leaders. That's quite it's quite the move. And then Iran comes back with the fireworks show. And then Israel says, hey, look, that fireworks show could actually turn into a nuclear weapon. And I don't agree. Because you can't just set off nuclear weapons. There's this world community. There's a world community out there. Like if we look at what happened in Ukraine, the question is, why didn't it set off a bigger war? Why is it basically just a special military operation? Because it's like nothing's happening. It's all within some scope of activity. So, like, you need two things to conduct these special military operations. The one with Russia, what's Russia doing in Ukraine, and what's Israel doing in Gaza. First, you have to be so big and tough that nobody really wants to fight you. And two, you have to be hurting somebody who's so small and weak and that nobody really cares about. So it means Gaza. Nobody cares about Gaza. It's obvious. You think somebody cares about Gaza? I didn't say anything. I didn't hear anyone like. Is Egypt talking about it? Is Jordan talking about it? Is Saudi Arabia talking about it? Who's talking about it? I mean, maybe they're talking, but I never saw nobody do nothing about it. I've never seen a Muslim country stand up. The only one that's standing up is those guys from Yemen, the Yemenis. But what are the Yemenis going to do? They can just like create some fireworks. Iran, what are they doing? They're just creating some fireworks. All the while, these people are being slaughtered. Nobody's doing nothing. What, you think Iran is going to actually... It's actually going to do something? I don't think so. They're just saying, like, hey, guys, can you please stop? We don't want to escalate too far, but, like, we can do something, but we don't want to do something. Of course, Iran is like, it's their best interest to what? To keep it on the down low. We want to be able to do our terrorist activities without anyone doing nothing about it. What am I talking about? Oops. Anyways, the point is that these are all policies. So you have some kind of vision, a vision for the future. Based on this vision of the future, you're going to create some policies. And you set up those policies because there's going to be some stories attached to them. Like, for example, when Netanyahu says, Iran is going to acquire a nuclear weapon. And then we all remember when the US, the only country in the whole world who set off a nuclear weapon against another country. And we remember that terrible, terrible, terrible thing. All right, so what do we learn? We learn that in politics, you need to have these phrases: climate change, Iran is going to acquire a nuclear weapon. You have to have these phrases to focus everyone's energy and attention on some kind of issue. All right, so oops, what the heck just happened? I think I put it in the wrong one. All right, so then the key is like, what I'm talking about this. I'm talking about achieving this result. So first thing we have to do is decide what result we want to achieve. Then we create policies and propaganda around what we need to do in order to achieve that result. And the policies and the propaganda, we can call them resources. We need to understand what policies and propaganda are going to help us to achieve this output. And then we have to find people that are doing actual work. Who are the people that can do the work? What are the processes we have to work with? What are the resources we have access to? And most importantly, we have to build coalitions. We have to blend this work with this other work. We have to blend this process with this other process. We have to blend this resource with this other resource. Issue that comes up, it's like you get a whole set of ideas that not everyone agrees with. It's so hard because like this idea of democracy, everyone gets to do what they want. Everyone gets freedom. So the first problem is freedom. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying when you give people freedom to do what they want, they have a tendency to do what they want. Remember when we were kids, we're just walking around like tough guys, just doing what we want. What the difference is this? I think Gemini's gone crazy. So then you get like people with various opinions about how things should work. debating. Eventually, debates turn into arguments, and arguments turns into violence, and then we change from the merit of your argument to the merit of your knuckle dusters. So it's really weird, actually. Because at first we're discussing how we think and feel. And then we're talking about who can eat whose lunch. All right. So the point is that when you find something that matters to you, see here, it's just kill two birds with one stone. There's a lot of stones being thrown, and at some point you have to align yourself with other resources. In fact, it's like basically you have one process and it's achieving two results. I don't know if that's actually the meaning here, because what you're actually doing is, if you're combining two things, then you're combining two things to get a single result. So before, this set of resources got this result, this set of resources got this result. And it's saying that you need to combine your resources together. What? To get the same two results? No. I think it's important to find the results. Figure out which groups of people are producing the results that you want to. Figure out who's promoting the values that you support, who's working toward the outcomes that you want to see happen in this life. And then find other groups of people who agree with that. Like, for example, why is Russia and China, Iran, why did they get so buddy-buddy recently? And why is the US trying to forcefully create some kind of trading bloc between it and its allies? Are we talking about a system where the US is stronger than everybody in its its sphere of influence, and it's just saying, hey, look, I'm the Godzilla here, and you all have to listen to me, do what I say, or I'll crush you. I mean, it's fine. Because it's like, when you have a family, it's the same thing, right? Like mommy and daddy. What is going on? I can't see it. Your mom and dad, they're obviously going to be like, if you don't do what I say, I'm going to crush you. It's not necessarily the best. strategy, but it depends on the situation. When your kids get older, then you realize, oh, wait a minute, that's not the best solution. So, are these countries children? The thing I've really been thinking about a lot lately is like, what are the conditions that you need? What are the basic conditions that you need to create prosperity? Also, I think that like humans, right? We're all like developing, and systems are all developing, and because the conditions that created successful systems are those processes being repeated, and are the current methods for producing systems, same processes that created the systems which we felt created prosperity in the past. Like when I'm using these AI things, it's like you have to train your AI. You have to create systems. So I'm trying to understand, how are the current people in power using the systems to create prosperity? Right. So I got to go now. I don't know what the heck's going on here. It's like, I guess we'll see you next time.